All right, folks, it's another episode of America's Hometown Horror that's brought to you yet again by Shine Through Window Cleaning. Shine Through Window Cleaning, in case you haven't heard, is a family-owned and operated company that proudly serves Plymouth, or America's hometown, and the surrounding area. They treat your home or business like they would treat their own, and they believe in truly building their reputation on every job they do. Get in touch with Shine Through today to discuss your window cleaning, gutter cleaning, and power washing needs at 781-812-9189. That's 781-812-9189. Or it's Shine Through Window Cleaning. That's Shine, T-H-R-U, Window Cleaning. Shine Through Window Cleaning. What is up, folks? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of America's Hometown Horror. Hope you had a lovely October. Hope you it was filled with lots of spooky things. Hope you were able to find some alternatives for trick-or-treating, haunted attractions, and everything else. Hope you got a lot of candy. My name is Mike. I'm the host of America's Hometown Horror. And as always, I am joined by my fellow co-host, Andrew.
So good to be here. I mean, can't believe it's November already. It's getting cold outside.
I know. Next thing you know, it'll be Thanksgiving before we even know it. Also joined by Kat. Kat, what's going on?
Hello.
How's everything going with you?
Good. You know, no news. Just good news.
The fact that there's no news tonight, you know about it ahead of time, makes you extremely happy.
Exactly,
okay.
Yes.
Fair enough. So Kat hates the news for some reason. She doesn't like to be caught up on all sorts of current events.
It's kind of a waste of time. For me,
yeah, well, for Kat it is.
She likes living under a rock.
Not for everybody. But, so I know you guys can't see who I'm talking to next to me here, but back for the first time since he was our esteemed guest on the Dark Side of Disney episode, one Matt Gilbert. Matt, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for coming back and joining the show.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Always a pleasure to have you. It was a great time having you on the Dark Side of Disney episode. Had a lot of interesting conversations, some good facts, and it was awesome to hear about your experiences down there. So obviously, you know, now since you were back home, we wanted to have you on an episode now that we're out of October, and I know we asked you about a particular movie, which we will get into. It's one of your personal favorites, right?
Yep.
But, yeah, thanks again for coming back. I guess, you know, tell me a little bit about what you did in October. I saw lots of photos on social media about some of the fun stuff you did.
Yeah, I came back up to Massachusetts. You know, things are kind of quiet in Orlando right now. As you know, a lot of the Halloween events were canceled this season, so I made my way back up to Massachusetts, where I'm from originally, and made my way up to Salem a couple weeks ago, and then checked out what they had. Their haunted happenings were still going on, you know, a smaller scale, but still going on strong. A lot of people showing up.
Yep.
Checked out the shops, went through some graveyards.
So you've been in the past, correct?
Yeah, I love it. It's a great time.
Do you think the crowds were significantly less? Was it definitely less crowded?
I would say it was busy, but it was definitely less crowded. The traffic wasn't crazy like it usually is trying to get up Route 1 into Salem. And, you know, it was easier to move around. It was easier to go in the shops and to check out the museums and to kind of explore the town than it usually is, especially on the week of Halloween. It's usually just nuts, you know?
Yeah, of course. I know, having been up there, you know, one time in the past, I've only been up there once, which is kind of crazy. I want to go back more.
Yep.
I know when I was there, it was jammed. So I know, like I said, it was probably a little bit less jammed this year, which can kind of be a good thing, I guess, depending on what you're doing. Also saw that you, I guess we'll kind of jump right into the one semi-little news item that we have here, right? So we kind of said no news, but this is something that you'll be excited to talk about, Kat.
You're lying now.
And Matt, I know you're a big fan as well. So we did an episode on Hocus Pocus, a little movie called Hocus Pocus back a few weeks ago during our countdown to Halloween, where we did 8 episodes. If you haven't listened to all 8 yet, go back and listen. But so 2 things. I know I saw some photos. You did the Hocus Pocus tour, and they also announced today on social media, as of this recording.
Today?
You're taking my piece of news.
You mean like
I said
2
this
weeks
to you
ago?
today.
I told you I was going to talk about it on the show. You wanted to talk about it.
It wasn't today.
Yesterday, recently.
2 weeks.
No, I think it was yesterday.
Well, so we also
3
talked
weeks
about
ago,
in the
remember?
news on another
Back in
episode
October.
that they were going to do a sequel to Hocus Pocus that was going to come out to Disney Plus on sometime in 2021 maybe, or 2022.
Right.
But they also, so Bette Midler, I guess on her Instagram account, posted a photo of her, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy.
Yep.
All dressed up as the Sanderson sisters for a fundraiser that Bette Midler is doing towards the end of the month.
For COVID stuff, yeah.
Yeah, Kat. What was it like to see them in their famous costumes from one of your favorite movies for the first time in quite a while.
Well, I hope by now I would have watched it because it would have already.
Well, that's okay.
I'm really excited. I think that movie's awesome. Like, it was cool just to see them like older, but still looking the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Bette Midler always has looked old.
Yes.
Sarah Jessica Parker looked a little tough in that picture, I will
Yeah.
say. She looked a little weathered, but
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, they're when did that movie come out? 93?
93, yeah, 27 years.
Almost 30 years ago. So
There's a compliment.
it's kind of to be.
weathered.
And maybe they can work
She
that into
didn't
the
age
sequel.
well.
Yeah,
like a
maybe,
fine
exactly.
wine.
But, so I knew you were particularly excited to talk about that today, Kat and Matt. So, for the Hocus Pocus, kind of all the
I'm gonna look
photos you
up the
took in the
picture.
tour.
Yep.
So, what were some of the locations that you hit from the movie?
So I pretty much went through the center of Salem, downtown, which really where everything's going on. All the haunts, all the shops, everything that you want to see and do is in the downtown Salem area, and it also happens to be where the movie was filmed. So I checked out the high school, which is right in the downtown Salem Commons, which I believe is condos or apartments now, but it was the high school in the movie. Right across the street was the Salem Commons, which is where you see Max and Allison in the beginning of the movie when she gives his phone number back to him. It was the perfect time of year to go because all the leaves are red and it looks just like it did in the movie. 27 years ago, like I said.
Yeah.
I checked out Allison's mansion, which is actually the Ropes Mansion, which is owned by the Peabody Essex Museum. It's officially open again after being restored, so make sure you check that out.
Yep.
It's got a really cool garden behind the mansion that you can also view.
Nice.
And besides that, I checked out Max and Danny's house. That's on the edge of town, closer to the marina. And if you want to look that up, the address is online. You can find where that is. And I also went over towards Marblehead. The movie was mainly filmed in Salem and in some of the sound stages in California, but they also did go to Marblehead to film some of the scenes in the graveyard, especially where he gets Max gets his sneakers stolen in the beginning of the movie by the bullies.
By Ice.
By Ice and the other one.
Yeah, Ice and the other guy. Yeah, whatever.
And the other
his name
guy.
is.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, California boy. Look at nice shoes, or whatever he says. I forget the exact
Got any
line.
cash?
Got
Got
any
any
cash,
cash?
Hollywood?
Got any smokes?
You don't have any smokes. You don't got any cash.
And based off of pictures and research I did before my little tour, I could find the actual spot where they filmed that scene when they steal the sneakers based off the gravestones that are still there in the ground, where they
Wow.
were before. So it was really cool to just walk around, take pictures, not have the big crowds that are usually there, which really let me move around a lot better.
Yep.
And check out other spots like the town hall, which is also downtown, where they have the Halloween party.
Yep.
There's all
Say that I remember we walked
Yep.
by when we were there.
It's
yeah.
right downtown, yeah.
yeah. There's just so much of that movie that's filmed in Salem, and I think that's what makes the movie so special.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely makes it a cool, unique Halloween feeling, like a New England Halloween
It's
feeling.
authentic for
Yeah,
sure.
well,
yeah.
exactly. But I remember like when we were up there, so we...
All the Crucible stuff that's up there, too.
Yeah.
All the
We
witch-
saw some
yeah.
of the historic stuff, and I remember we also hit some bars and restaurants. We saw Notch. We went to Notch. We went to a couple different places.
We went to that Turner Seafood place.
Turner
It was awesome.
Seafood.
Yeah.
We did not get to go to Far From the Tree Cider, which I'm drinking one of these right now, the ectoplasm ciders that are bright green, that have jalapeno, kiwi, apple, and green peppers in them. Delicious, delicious stuff. But it's Salem's fun. Did you happen to see or did you walk by Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery? Was that
No, I
open?
didn't. No.
That's a cool place. It's like a little horror museum type thing with all
Really?
kinds of movie props and like models of horror movie villains, that type of thing. So that's a pretty cool place to check out in Salem too. The next time that you're up there.
I will say one thing that bummed me out about Salem. I traveled from Orlando, Florida, to Salem, to the Peabody Essex Museum to see the exhibit that they have up right now. They're showing artifacts from the original Salem times, 1690s, that are on display for the first time in 30 years. And the show's going on between September and April, so make sure you check it out if you are into seeing stuff like that.
Perfect.
Unfortunately for me, they required a COVID test. And they asked me where I was from when I got to the museum, and I said Florida. And they said, "Okay, where's your
Nope.
COVID negative test?"
Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
have one, and they didn't let me in.
Yeah.
So that was a big bummer. So
Okay.
if you are coming from out of state, make sure you get your test.
Sure.
Isn't
but
that against HIPAA law?
what's that?
To ask for
To
your
provide a
To
test?
to have a test HIPAA law, like you have privacy about your health.
Yeah.
Doesn't that
kind of get in the way of that.
Yeah,
get in the way of that? Isn't that like a
don't know.
constitutional right?
That my level of expertise goes to like horror movie trivia. Beyond that, I'm not really useful for much else. I don't really know. So I mean, that does suck. They wouldn't.
It does. It really bummed me out. And
yeah.
But I do like the museum nonetheless. I've been there before. If you're into tiki art or Polynesian masks, they have an amazing collection of Polynesian stuff. South Seas architecture and sculptures and things.
Yeah.
And they also, PBD Essex Museum, beyond owning the Ropes Mansion, which is Allison's house, they also own, there's another museum in town, which is actually not far from Max's house in Salem, and it is the, I think they call it the Old Salem Village, and it's actually also in the Hocus Pocus movie. That's in the very beginning of the movie when you see Thackeray Binks before he turns into a cat. You see
Thackeray.
him. You see him in the house. You see his sister is taken away, and he's running through the village. That village is still standing in Salem, and you can tour it as well. So there's a lot to see in Salem, and a lot of it you'll see. It will be very familiar if you've seen the Hocus Pocus movie.
So much history up there.
So much, yeah. There's a lot to see and do.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yep.
Sounds like a bunch of Hocus Pocus.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Very cute.
So, a couple other things. We're talking about movies filmed in Salem.
Right.
Have you seen Hubie Halloween on Netflix yet?
I have not.
I'm obsessed with that movie.
It's so good.
It's good?
Yes.
Dude,
it's so
and
funny.
Sandler
Really?
filmed it in Salem and also in LA.
Really?
Like
I did not know
Pocus.
that.
Yep.
No.
So like all the exterior shots are actually in Salem, like downtown, but it's just like it's a Sandler movie, right? So it's like kind of like a Billy Madison or like almost like a Waterboy type movie where it's just this, adult man-child mother's boy that is obsessed with Halloween. He's like made himself Salem's like appointed like Halloween safety enforcement officer.
He's like a hall monitor for the
and he has like a Swiss,
Like-
he has like a Swiss Army thermos that has a grappling hook in it and all
Really?
kinds of weird shit. But it's so funny. It's good.
I'll check it out.
It's
You
worth
gotta
a
check it
watch.
out. You gotta check it out. So you also mentioned that you had been living in Orlando, Florida.
Yep.
So for those who might not have listened to the Disney episode that you were on, can you tell us a little bit? You don't have to go in crazy depth, but like what type of work were you doing down there?
Working at Disney, I'd moved around a bit, but basically I worked either in the parades department, painting the parade floats in Magic Kingdom, or I'd work over at Epcot and Magic Kingdom as well in the animatronic industry. So I'd be painting the animatronics and fixing their skin and working with other artists and decorators and hairstylists to maintain the figures, the props, and the scenery and the attractions. Late at night when everybody's left the park, we would move in and we would work till 7 in the morning to make everything look like that Disney magic, just,
Ever since we talked about that when you were first on, I just can't help but think about still, like, how creepy that must have been at certain points, walking around those rides, like, at night with nothing moving, everything's, like, just kind of frozen in place, waiting for the next guest to come in the next morning. It's just got to be a really surreal experience, and I know we talked all about it. So, hey, if you haven't listened yet, go listen to the Dark Side of Disney.
You're kind of on is it Jeffrey Owens from Westworld?
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. Who's Jeffrey
New
Owens?
Commissioner Gordon. Bernard from Westworld. Yeah, it's like all the
Yeah,
the robots
animatronics,
downstairs that are in storage. Yeah.
Keeping up with them. They're like, you're going to be a real boy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so that's some awesome experience. Like I said, if you haven't listened to the Disney episode that Matt was on earlier, go back and listen. But I know since you were living in the Orlando area, you also had a chance to check out Halloween Horror Nights Lite this year.
Yes, I did.
So, which I mentioned a couple of different times, is featuring 2 houses during the daytime this year. So there's no nighttime events. It's just 2 houses, Revenge of the Tooth Fairy and the Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives.
Yes.
What was your experience like going through those houses? Did you enjoy them? How did it compare to going to Halloween Horror Nights in the past? Because I know Kat and I have been, and you've been many times as well.
Yep. Yeah, I thought Bride of Frankenstein was a great house. It was so cool. First off, let me say, that we were so disappointed that the event was canceled. A lot of people in Orlando, the entertainment industry, the artists, theater, musicians, there's so much effort that goes into that whole production, and we have such a huge audience that comes every year. So the fact that it was canceled was kind of a punch to the gut for Orlando and the creative community. But the fact that they still had these 2 rooms, these 2 haunts available for viewing, just with a park ticket was awesome, and it gave you a little bit of that flavor of the Halloween Horror Nights. And I will say the Bride of Frankenstein one was amazing. I loved it. I mean, the rooms were so well themed, you know. And you really feel like you got to see all the different monsters and be part of that world. And, you know, it was definitely a lot of good scares left and right. But the other one, the Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, I thought was the best of the two. It was so well done. You really feel like you're in a storybook type of theme. And, you know, I will say the one thing that detracted from it was that you saw plexiglass left and right. Because, you know, with COVID going on, you really had to watch... you know, they made you wear a mask. They made you use hand sanitizer, and then the plexiglass was kind of giving away where the next guy or girl was going to jump out on you. Yeah, but with that said, you know, the houses were great, and it really impressed a lot of people that they kind of gave back to the community and be like, no, Halloween has been canceled, but we're still going to give you something. You know, we're still going to make it fun and include it with a park ticket. You know, so it was a total blast, and I would definitely recommend checking it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad you were able to see it at least this year, and that some people are. And I know you said it's a lot of locals and people that aren't really traveling far to get down there on vacation. But yeah, I mentioned that before too. But it's just, you know, obviously it sucks for the fans that not to be able to go to Halloween Horror Nights, right? But it's got to be even worse for the people that are designing that event year round, because like we were talking about before, it's something that there's so much work that goes into the entire year, and just to have that not happen is just going to be a really shitty feeling. Yeah,
especially when all the work's gone into it. You know, the houses, I'm assuming most of the houses were finished. You know, when they canceled the event a few months ago, so much of the work was already completed. You know, there was so much, they had already started casting the actors, you know, and costumes were prepared. I mean, there was so much effort that went into this, and then to pull the plug was really a bummer, but I'm glad they were able to salvage some of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, cool. Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've had a very eventful October.
Yes.
Or you had a very eventful October.
Very spooky.
All right. I promise I will stop interviewing you now. And we can get into the reason that you're here tonight, which, of course, is a movie that the four of us just watched together. And
Pizza
my
and a podcast.
My God. Yeah, hashtag pizza and a podcast. My God. Talk about a feel-good movie of the fall. Total punch to the gut. And that movie, of course, is 2018's Hereditary, which I had seen one time before this and just watched it for a second time. And watching it for a second time, you kind of... I mean, I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it, but I picked up on so much more this time around. So I guess I'll go around the horn here. Overall thoughts on this movie. I think we've each seen it twice now, Andrew, unless you've seen it more times.
Twice.
What do you think of this movie?
I think it's my favorite type of horror movie. It's a slow burn, kind of psychological thriller, but at the same aspect, once it kicks into gear, it's like off and
like a rocket,
off the rails. Like this movie gets insane really quickly, and I know a lot of people like it got like I feel like people didn't like the movie as much as I did. Like, other than, like, us, obviously. But, like, I feel like it got, like, a bad fan reception. Maybe they marketed it poorly. Or people just don't like that type of, I don't know, disturbing, unsettling...
It's a very disturbing movie. But I still feel like, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought that this was actually pretty well received by critics. Because generally most of everything by A24...
Well, on CinemaScore, it got a D+, which is from fans.
Okay.
So, which is surprising because... And yet, Midsommar, everybody loved that movie.
Yeah. I
wanted to see it. I wanted to see it.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about Midsommar as we progress through here.
The tension that's built in this movie, the score is fantastic too.
The music really is great. I actually kind of forgot how good the music was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a slow burn. So I knew for sure when we were going to talk about this, I knew that you would be excited because this seems like a movie that is right up.
Good movie. It's like a long nightmare. Which is like you never know if you're actually in reality or if you're in suspended reality, which is what I like about it. Which is how I like my horror movies.
Yeah,
it's a horror movie.
Yep. This is a horror movie through and through.
Out of the box.
Yeah,
and just
weird and crazy and bananas. Catherine, what about you?
I liked it.
I liked it. You should watch it.
Two thumbs way up?
2 thumbs way up?
Or 2 thumbs
kind of? Give it like a thumb and a half.
Thumb and a half?
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
So was the other half of the thumb was decapitated?
Well, I mean, the other half saved for, like, Saw, or, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or, like, you know, like...
So wait, you're saying if you... So you're arguing that going forward, if you give a movie on one podcast a half a thumb, you're gonna recycle that thumb for another potential thumb in another movie.
Could I roll over?
So, like,
a thumb?
if we at some point in the future we talk about like Friday the 13th, you give it like 2.5 thumbs. Is that what you're saying?
Is that part? Can I do that?
Did that other thumb
I
get
don't
lost
think
somewhere?
so. You could if you wanted to, but
Did you lose that?
why
thumb,
would you
like,
do that?
No, it didn't get like
up your bum?
thumb
like
decapitated.
you were
Like-
because you saw was better.
No.
It's fine.
I get amputated my thumb. Yeah, it was good.
You liked it? It was
I
good.
liked it.
What
it's
else?
Creepy. It's gory. It's scary. It's very creepy. I think creepy.
It's
crawly.
very creepy.
Creepy
It's very
crawly
creepy.
is a good definition between the people and the ants and the insects and the
And it's
creepy crawly.
sneaky gory too. Very sneaky gory. I don't
yeah.
remember
Yeah.
it being as graphic as it was. So I mean, I guess I like when I
flies.
think about it now, I do. But like, I was like, oh shit, I forgot about like a couple of these parts here. Okay, so
creepy.
1.5 thumbs from Gato.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
good. It's
fair
good.
enough.
It's worth
That's
checking
like a
out.
B
Is it one of
plus?
my? Yeah,
B plus.
There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
it passes
I like
nicely.
B plus is
Yeah.
a good grade. That's B means good. B plus means very good.
So how many thumbs is a B plus?
3 is a B plus. Technically, 3 thumbs is a 75%.
Okay.
Well, no, you only have 2 thumbs.
Well,
But
yeah.
if there are 2 thumbs way up, I consider that 4 thumbs.
Could it be
So,
the collective 6 thumbs of the 3 podcast
Okay.
hosts? How many out of 6?
Well, I'm giving it 2.
I'm giving it 2 as well.
I know he's giving it 2.
Yeah, I think so, Matt. Yeah.
So that's like a 95%
That's
actually.
Yeah.
Well,
a
at
good rating.
least I didn't
it's
say
like
I hated
95%
it.
on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's a movie that you actually
don't hate
didn't
it.
hate that
No.
we chose to do
Nope.
a podcast on.
Yes.
Amazing.
Matt,
Yes.
so you asked to talk about this movie on the show tonight. We wanted to have you on. Talk to us a little bit about why you love this movie so much, why you selected it, and why it is memorable to you.
Okay, so I think some horror movies are scary. Others make you jump a lot. Others are obviously bad, but you enjoy it anyways.
Of course.
Some of them are laugh out loud. But something about this movie just fills you with dread. And that's the thing that is so unsettling for me. The first time I saw it, you know, there's a twist in the movie about a quarter of the way through that completely throws you in a different direction. You don't see it coming. It's horrible. You know, and it was so unsettling the first time I saw the movie. I remember days later I was still thinking about, what did I see? You know, you know, there's elements of guilt. There's elements, like I said, of dread, of gore that separate this movie from others because it's so well done. The acting is great. The soundtrack. I mean, everything about the movie is so well done that I don't even know where to start. You know, it's a really, really good horror movie. It's on so many levels.
I agree. I'm just going to continue the praise here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you kind of hit on it with everything there. I feel like everything is on point here. So Ari Aster, the director, he's obviously the director, so he directed it. He also wrote the movie.
Yep.
Also wrote and directed Midsommar, which the three of us were not as much fans of. And I definitely do like this movie better. But Andrew, kind of as we were talking about before, I did see a lot of similarities between the two movies when I watched this a second time, like more than I ever even picked up on. But it's very clear that he has a vision. He is, you know, an auteur, if you prefer that term. He has a very specific visual style that he follows. All the actors are killing it in this. Toni Collette, Gabriel Byrne, Alex Wolff is the kid. Millie Shapiro is Charlie, I think.
Yep.
Ann Dowd is the woman who's in what's her character's name? I forget, but she's
Joan?
in Joan.
Yep.
Sorry to
She's
yell
good.
at you. I didn't
I
mean
mean,
to go,
they're actually kind of really the only main actors in the movie, aside from the stand-ins and the cult people. But I remember the first time I saw this movie, it kind of blew me away a little bit because I had heard a lot of good reviews about it. But I also, anytime a good horror movie comes out, a quote-unquote good horror movie comes out, our friend James, friend of the show, loves horror as much as we do. I always text him, and I'm like, hey, did you see this movie yet? And I asked him about Hereditary, and he hated it.
Wow.
And he said, I absolutely hated it. And I was like,
Actually,
okay.
my friend Jen also
Did he like
Yeah.
Midsommar, though?
I don't remember if he liked Midsommar or not.
Because
I'll
if
have
he
to-
liked that but didn't like this, then I don't take his
I'll
opinion.
go back through my texts and check. But so I was like, okay, so I really don't know what to expect here because I've had a problem with certain horror movies over the last, I don't know, however many years where if the expectations are really high, I've been let down a couple of times. Like when I saw The Conjuring in theaters, I was let down a little bit because everyone was saying it's...
Really?
I really like it now, but at the time when I first saw it, everyone was saying, oh my god, this is the new Exorcist.
Well, they compared this movie to The Exorcist, too.
Conjuring...
People thought it was going to be...
Which I actually think this is... I had that as a question in a second here. But I actually think this might be more comparable to like The Exorcist.
It's not
than
even on the
something
same.
with
It's
Conjuring.
not even the close though.
It's
It's
got that
completely
vibe.
different though.
It's
movie.
closer than The Conjuring. I
Nothing
think.
is The Exorcist.
Nothing
That's
is The
completely
Exorcist,
different.
but like so,
I think this movie's better. I like it better than The Exorcist personally because it's more interesting. It's different. It's unexpected.
yeah,
You don't expect it to be going from where it starts to where it finishes.
exactly.
The Exorcist, you kind of have an idea where it's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this, I didn't see it going in this direction at all when I first started watching it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what the problem is with Midsommar. Two things wrong with Midsommar.
We don't need
Yeah,
to
we're
go
not going
on
to make this. No, but the difference why I like this movie better, and it's very simple. The acting is 10 times better in Hereditary than Midsommar. Midsommar is like
Yeah.
watching The Green Inferno when you talk about acting. Like it's like campy kind of just. It's not
See,
very
I didn't
good.
even think I really had a problem with the acting in Midsommar. I just didn't really like
the story.
the story.
The
I
premise
wasn't really
was
a fan.
It was very obvious.
Yeah,
you knew what was going to happen. Kind of. It was like watching The Wicker Man.
Yeah,
To
well,
me,
honestly,
it was like the same thing.
it's a Wicker Man clone impersonation.
And this
for
is
sure.
a very culty type movie, but
Yeah,
you
which I
didn't
like.
feel it coming
Yeah.
until it was
No,
there.
you didn't.
Yeah.
And then it came, and then
Yeah,
But
but I
it was
mean,
just very creepy
so-
up until then. Like, very creepy.
yeah.
yeah, for sure. But this movie definitely works for me. I guess is my point. And it contains probably at least one of the most fucked up scenes I've seen in a horror movie recently, which we'll get into in more detail. And it's one of these movies that, and I've said it before, I hate the term elevated horror, but this is one of those movies that's considered to be elevated horror
I don't think I've
because
ever heard that.
some people question whether it actually even is a horror movie, which it 100% is, because it's more of a family-style drama. But I think that is an element that makes it a good horror movie because, you know, there are some supernatural things going on here. There are some clear metaphors for grief, mental illness, anxiety that can take hold of and essentially destroy a family. And it's not the type of movie that relies on jump scares and cheap scares like a lot of movies do nowadays. Much more of a slow burn, like we were talking about, that builds a sense of dread, like you mentioned, Matt. And my point in bringing it up in comparison to like The Exorcist. So
What about my word? I mean, you said dread, and you said, what about me?
what you said it was good and you liked it. What else?
Yeah,
did you
your
say?
word.
Creepy. It is very creepy.
It was
I want to be involved
It
here.
was spooky.
It's very creepy, like you said. It's very creepy and spooky. But there have been a lot of comparisons for this particular movie
Dread. And
to pretty much the two American horror movie benchmarks, which are The Exorcist and The Shining.
And I have a completely different.
I guess
I would like to know what you're.
they're saying it not in terms of plot or anything like that, but whether or not you hold this movie in a similar regard to those two movies. Kat.
so are we in? Then I sat upstairs. I was like, oh, well, this is like The Shining. It's the whole, like, light with the thing. Literally, though, it's like a light that you see on whenever... Am I talking
Yeah,
about
no, the light,
Like-
the light that they see from time to time. No, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
That's
how does
paranormal.
how does that relate to The Shining?
The Shining. Well, it's like a literal, like, shining. Get it? Like,
Oh.
shiny.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Shining.
Shining of
Like,
light. Okay.
I'm like,
Wah,
what?
wah,
Yeah.
wah.
No, that's what I said upstairs. I was like, it's like
Just
The
because the movie's
Shining.
called
It's
The Shining doesn't mean
shiny.
that.
So I
It's
guess
shiny.
all right. If I can be more clear, my question is:
You're plenty clear.
do you think that this movie, because people forget, right? So The Shining, when it came out in 1980, was not well received by critics. The writer of the novel that the movie was based on hated the movie and disowned it.
Yeah.
The Exorcist was considered the most controversial movie of all time. People were leaving the theaters, throwing up, which I've always wondered if people actually did. Like, could you imagine throwing up in a movie theater?
I mean,
could.
get real.
At
Come
the
on.
time, though,
Pull it
maybe.
At the time, maybe. You're talking about 1973 for The
Yeah,
Exorcist.
maybe,
My
yeah.
question is, do you think 20 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever, that people will look at Hereditary and say, wow, this is a modern American classic in the like of The Shining or The Exorcist?
No.
Or what have you. Any, like, you know, whatever... Halloween or whatever
That's tough.
horror
I think
classics
that's
you
a tough
consider to be.
question.
aggressive to say that.
It's a tough question because it's hard to compare.
I'm not
that.
saying that.
Oh, I know you're
I
not
don't
saying
think it is because those are two of my all-time favorite movies. But I can see the comparisons. I understand them. I think this will be a classic. I don't know if it'll be on that level.
No, it won't.
I also think it's weird that people were throwing up during any movie, because have you ever thrown up watching a movie?
No.
No, that seems like something weirdos do. I don't think that's real.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest.
I mean,
What
unless
do you
you're
think?
eating, but
I do wonder, I don't know if it's because it just came out in the last 2 years, and I'm, so excited. I saw it, and I was just telling everybody about it after I saw it, and I wanted to see it again. I don't know if there's a hype around it for me that will fade in the next couple decades. I don't know if it will be considered a classic. I mean, it's a really good movie, so I don't know. How do you approach the heights of these other movies you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to beat those two movies.
Yeah.
All-timers. But
it's a different day and age, too. Like, back then, there was, 5 movies that
Right.
came out in a year. Or, I mean, there was more than 5, but now there were just movie.
True.
So in 20
Well-
years, there's going to have been, thousands upon thousands of movies that come out. So it may get...
doesn't necessarily mean they'll all be of quality, though.
No, they're not going to be of quality, but I'm just saying, you almost get overwhelmed. Half the time, there's so many movies that come out now that I'm like, I can't even keep up. And I'm like, half the time I don't want to keep up. This is such a good movie, though.
Okay.
But will it be remembered the same way The Shining is? I don't think so. Because that came out in a time when that had never been done before.
All right, so let me throw this at you. Other movies from this decade more or less likely to be a classic than Hereditary. Dr. Sleep.
no.
Less likely.
Less likely than Hereditary?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic movie, too, but it comes back to the same...
The Shining
My
already
same
happened.
point.
Dr. Sleep isn't going to
Dr. Sleep is better than The Shining, but that's different.
All right, so I apologize.
But see, that doesn't even count. I don't know. I think Hereditary is I don't know.
I think it's a great movie.
It's fantastic.
But I think if I mention Hereditary to people like my
Nobody knows.
parents, my friends, a lot of people haven't heard of it.
Right, and I don't think it has the notoriety of that
And
yet.
it should.
It may down the line.
Yeah.
It's the same thing
what I
with
mean.
music. People talk about, the Doors and Pink Floyd and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, the greatest band of all time." Well, there's a lot of better bands than those, but that was at a time period when that music had just started out, and you were first visualizing. Now it's like everybody's inundated with so much other stuff that it's like,
Yeah.
life was a lot.
There's so
simpler
much
back
more to
then.
consume.
And even just life in
Yeah.
general is more
Okay.
Yeah.
convoluted.
All right, so while we're talking about other movies, right?
Sorry.
So
Just going off the rails.
Would you count classics just as old movies?
no, I'm saying where would this rank among the quote unquote new wave of classic horror movies that are destined to be classic?
Well, what's a current classic?
So I'd say The Conjuring, I would say Doctor
Ted loves
Sleep.
it.
Yeah, the old one.
It's not a movie.
I don't know, movies like that. I mean, I don't know. Cabin in the Woods, I think, is a classic. Totally different type of movie
okay.
than this. But I'm just thinking
Saw.
All right, fair.
I'm just-
all
I'm-
right,
I'm
okay,
just-
all
Saw.
right.
so
Okay.
okay.
All right. Okay.
So we
Moving
were
on.
talking
Go
about a
ahead.
bunch of other movies. This movie came out in 2018, which was a fantastic year for horror. I'm going to lay some of the other 2018 horror movies that came out. I've seen a lot of these, and there are a lot of good ones. So after I run through, just tell me what your favorite horror movie from that year was, okay? First one, Annihilation, which was an awesome horror sci-fi movie directed by Alex Garland. Did you see that?
I don't view that as a horror movie.
I think so. Dude, with the bear scene,
I mean,
and
Natalie
the alligator.
Portman, yes. But that's a great sci-fi movie. I don't know if
I think it's a horror-ish movie. Horror, sci-fi horror.
Okay, fair enough.
Did Kat, you probably did you see Annihilation?
No.
Did you, Matt?
No.
Okay, we'll move on. Movie that you did see, Bird Box.
Oh, okay. I like the movie.
Decent movie.
Yep.
Not the best.
Okay.
Cam, we both saw that. That movie stunk.
That movie was terrible.
Yeah,
Was it
that was
Cam?
really Cam. It's about a
Some chick who gets obsessed
it's a
with,
girl that does OnlyFans.
Oh, well,
And
it's relevant for the times.
It actually
It
is.
was relevant.
And
It was
basically,
dumb.
there's an internet
It's like
demon
OnlyFans.
Really?
that steals her identity, and it's really weird. And it got one of those movies that got glowing reviews from critics, and I watched it, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just waste an
Yeah.
hour and 40
Why?
minutes on?" It was terrible.
Yeah.
Another terrible Netflix movie that came out that year, The Cloverfield Paradox.
Oh, that was good.
We watched that.
Yeah.
You liked that movie?
Wait, in the one that was in the ground in the bunker.
No,
No.
that was 10 Cloverfield Lane.
That was with John Goodman.
That was
Yes.
a great movie.
That was great.
This one was not so good. This is the one that was in space, and it actually had the Cloverfield monster in it at certain
Oh,
points.
yeah.
Yeah, this was. It was
That was
a.
okay.
It was a good. I'm just gonna watch something
I remember
entertaining. It was entertaining, but it wasn't good.
I remember Netflix was sitting on it for a while, and they had a surprise commercial during the Super Bowl. And they said
ago, right?
2 years ago. So yeah, this was 2018. Yeah, so 2 years ago. Once the Super Bowl is over, this movie will be live on Netflix, and it was out. And I remember we watched it. I forget where we watched it, but we watched it like right away, and it was like, it was
all right.
Yeah.
It was nothing special.
movie I haven't seen, the first Purge. Purge
seen
movies are popular.
That's when the first Purge movie came out?
No. So there's been multiple Purge movies.
it's
this one
called
it was a
The
prequel
First
called
Purge?
The
The
First
First
Oh,
Purge.
okay, because I was like, that was been out for a while.
Yeah, no. So that one came out in 2018. Haven't seen it. I've only seen the
I'd like
only
to
seen
watch
I've only
the
seen
original.
the very first Purge movie.
Yeah, I've only seen The Purge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
The Purge, exactly.
Have you seen any of the Purge stuff?
I saw the first one, but not the
Not
first
the first
one.
Purge.
I saw
Not to be confused
I
with
saw
the,
number 1 Purge.
the singular Purge. No,
The single Purge.
the purging.
A movie I did see and actually really enjoyed a lot called Ghost Stories. It's available on Hulu right now. It's a
watched it.
British movie.
I heard good things.
What's his name from Sherlock is in it. Martin Freeman, who plays... not Sherlock.
Benedict
but
Cumberbatch?
no, not Benedict Cumberbatch.
Watson.
Watson. He plays Watson in Sherlock.
That guy. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen
It was
some
an
of that.
anthology.
Yeah.
You would love it.
I think I've seen some of it.
You would
and I
love
do
it.
remember it.
If you
Did
see,
you watch it? Or did you watch it?
we watched it together. It
You
was
don't remember.
really
Exactly.
good. Yes.
I'm like, we watched it?
Yeah.
It's one of those movies.
Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween. Anybody see that? Saw the first Goosebumps. Liked it. It was good. With Jack Black.
I haven't seen this one, though.
I haven't either. Let's see. Okay. More Halloween. The Halloween reboot, directed by David Gordon Green, written by Danny McBride.
I
That
never
came out
saw
2
that
years
one.
ago. You
I
didn't
saw
see the
I
new
saw that
Halloween?
Rob Zombie Halloween, which was like
I've seen that as well.
12 years ago.
I liked the Halloween sequel. So it's one of those movies where they basically, it's a sequel, a direct sequel to Halloween 1, and they cut out all the other sequels.
Okay.
I liked it. I thought
That's
it was good.
confusing.
Did you see it?
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it. Okay. Insidious: The Last Key.
Ooh, I
We
think I
saw
did
that.
see that.
I like the Insidious movies.
I
Kind
like
of a
this-
guilty pleasure
yeah.
for me. I thought that was a good
I
one.
like the Insidious movie.
Mandy.
What was Mandy about?
Mandy
Oh
is
my God. What a
Mandy
waste
is
of
a
time.
psychological horror, supernatural psychological horror movie with Nicolas Cage in it. That
Must
is
be good.
essentially all neon lit.
Oh my God.
Nicolas Cage gets into a chainsaw fight with people where they're wielding chainsaws.
Really?
And it's like there's demonic bikers and all kinds of weird
I
shit.
thought
Very
it was-
trippy, very weird.
Dumb.
The Meg, that was also dumb. Jason Statham
Yeah, but
punching
that was
giant
supposed,
sharks
that
was
was
supposed
kind
to
of
be dumb.
supposed to be dumb.
That's like Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, exactly. But with big sharks.
Deep Blue Sea is so good.
Oh,
big
yeah, some
sharks.
stupid ones this year, too. The Nun, we saw that. That's in the
Oh, yeah.
Conjuring universe. That movie stunk.
That nun is scary though.
Yeah, she's creepy, but how creepy can it be when it's the same scare 25 times in a row?
Yes.
Movie I loved, Overlord. Did any of you guys see this?
Nope.
It's with Kurt Russell's kid, the one from Lodge 49, and it's during World War II, and they get dropped into France fighting the Nazis, and the Nazis develop a serum to turn dead Nazi soldiers into zombies.
Wow.
Jesus.
It is fucking awesome, and it's on Amazon Prime right now. You should totally watch Overlord. The Predator, which was another direct sequel to the original Predator that skipped all the other sequels, which I enjoyed. Anybody see that?
That's not the one with Eric Foreman, is it?
No,
That's
different one.
Predators. right?
Predators. That
I
one with
like
Eric
that
Foreman
movie.
was a good one. I like that
I thought
a
that was
lot.
good.
A Quiet Place
Oh, I
came
love
out in
that movie.
2018. Good movie. Very good movie.
B+.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Stop
I'm
it.
with Andrew on that.
It's the same
B+.
thing overdone.
Did you see A Quiet Place? Matt?
I did, yeah. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
It's a
I thought it
B+.
was awesome. I thought
thumb-
it
two
was
thumbs
great.
up.
Two
It's
thumbs
right
way,
there.
way
The
up.
First time you see
1.5 thumbs with Bird Box.
No
Same
way.
thing.
Yeah,
Bird Box, I
the-
give 1.5.
The first time you see A Quiet Place, it's awesome. And then after that, when you're not seeing it in a theater with that experience where it's just
Yeah.
quiet for 2 hours, it's a little different.
But you're
I think.
literally on the edge of your seat
All
the
right.
entire time.
Emily Blunt may give it 2 thumbs.
She's beautiful. Yeah. Well, oh, hey, and she's in it with her real life husband, John Krasinski.
Yep, you're right.
So
Shocking.
that's another movie that should have had a sequel out already at this point.
Oh,
It got
right.
delayed because
Yeah.
of COVID.
Delayed.
Yep.
That's sad.
Quiet Place. We already said that.
What's it going to be? A quieter place?
Quiet Place 2.
A real super quiet
Real
place.
super quiet.
Very, very, very quiet place.
The Strangers Pray at Night. We saw that. That was a decent
yeah.
sequel.
Yeah, that was
was
good.
actually not
Strangers are
bad.
Yep.
I never saw that.
And
Strangers are
then
creepy.
the Suspiria remake, which I did not see and have no interest in seeing.
Well, Suspiria is fantastic.
The first one's
original,
good.
Great.
I heard it was too long and weird.
I didn't really watch I haven't seen that. No, so that answers that question. Never mind.
Okay.
Moving on.
So, out of all those movies,
there was way too many.
I don't even
remember what we just said.
yeah, a lot. There's a lot.
I'll go with Hereditary.
Well, there it is. There's Hereditary
Most memorable.
Hereditary is in comparison to all of those movies that came out
It's
in
better
2018.
than most of those.
Quiet Place.
I would say so.
Wins.
99%.
Quiet Place wins for you. I actually really liked Overlord a lot, and I really liked the Halloween reboot. And,
Really, Overlord? That seems like a trashy type
and Ghost Stories
horror
was good
movie.
too.
Is it not?
It is, but it's like it's fun though.
Is it like the one
it's
where
exactly
like,
what
is
you'd
it like
expect.
the one where there's like Nazis on the moon?
No,
not like that?
Literally, they're in
Like
Nazi-occupied
T-Rexes?
France.
Okay.
And they're trying to basically destroy a Nazi base, and when they get in there, they discover that Nazis have developed some sort of serum that turns dead German soldiers into zombies.
Well,
like crazy
they
strong
essentially
zombies.
did that anyway.
So it's essentially like, like the zombie Call of Duty stuff?
Yeah.
It's like that, but a movie, and it's fucking awesome. And it's got Kurt Russell's son in it. Kurt Russell's awesome. He's in awesome movies, and his son's actually really good, too. Lodge 49's an awesome show. Okay, ready to move on to the next thing?
Yes.
Born ready.
All right, so a couple quick facts about Hereditary before we get into our categories, which we always do. I mentioned this a little bit before, but Hereditary was produced and distributed by Studio A24, who is known for their quote-unquote art house horror films. They've released some of the biggest indie horror films over the last several years, including Tusk, which I saw. That movie was stupid.
Oh, that movie's awesome.
You like Tusk?
I love that movie. It's supposed to
So
be
weird.
stupid. It's so weird,
So
though.
weird.
But it's so creepy.
Under the Skin, which is a Scarlett Johansson alien movie.
That's a
which
good movie.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Scarlett Johansson seducing
Yes,
men.
very nice, very nice.
Nice
The Witch.
Yes.
Shout out to America's hometown, baby.
Yeah.
The Witch.
That movie's
Filmed at
fantastic.
Plymouth Plantation.
Great movie. Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't pick that one. I would have thought for sure you wanted to talk The Witch.
Have you guys covered that one yet?
We have
No,
not.
we want
have
to, but
not.
Kat probably poo-pooed it because
Poo-poo
this
it.
movie is boring.
No, I like
That's
The
a great.
Witch.
That's a great
You
movie.
like that movie?
Yeah.
A24.
We watched it on a plane, I think.
We did watch it on a plane to Mexico.
Yeah.
Weird
It's
movie
good.
to watch
I
on a plane
liked
to
it.
Mexico.
Oh, I'm surprised that you like
Why?
that.
A24 also released Green Room, which is a good movie.
Oh, with,
That's the one
Patrick Stewart? Yeah.
Yep. More Patrick Stewart is a
Neo-Nazis,
neo-Nazi guy, skinhead. The Monster, It Comes at Night.
Oh, that was good, right?
That's a good movie.
Yeah, It Comes at Night was good. Midsommar. And The Lighthouse, which I still have not
that movie's
seen.
so good. Like, if you like The Witch, you'd like Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson's phenomenal.
I just like the combo of Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. I think those are two awesome actors. I feel like I need to carve out the 2 hours to sit there and watch them just act off each other and just fucking be weird. And I just haven't physically forced myself to do it.
There's a little too much masturbation in that movie, but other than that,
Well, it's two guys in a lighthouse
yeah,
for
but it's like you don't even
an
show that.
undetermined amount of days. It's just
It's
going
like, we all
mad,
know what
so,
you're going to
yeah,
do. You're
yeah.
eventually going to,
Jesus.
It's weird. But it's good.
Yeah, so
very good.
so Hereditary was written and directed by Ari Aster. This is his feature film debut. He originally wrote this movie to be a straight-up family drama, which is something that we kind of talked about a little bit before, that kind of exclusively deals with the grief and loss of loved ones. Aster saw the potential to turn this film into a horror. Oh my god!
Horror.
Aster saw.
Sorry.
Aster saw the potential of turning this film into a horror story, and he rewrote the script to be what it is today. Had this remained a family drama, Midsommar would have been his very first horror movie. I think he made a good decision there by turning this into a horror story and not having Midsommar be his first, because I didn't really like that movie that much.
Everyone else
I think
did.
that worked out for the best.
Yeah.
Matt, you and I were talking about this earlier, but this movie was actually shot on location in sound stages in L.A. and also in Utah.
Really?
Over the course of 32 days. Aster chose Utah because the mountainous landscape was, quote, beautiful and breathtaking, yet also menacing and ominous, which I agree with. I feel like there's some beautiful shots in this movie, especially when they do Charlie's funeral, and they're just in the graveyard, and behind them is just this insane mountain range that is just right there above the tree line. Crazy looking stuff. It's definitely a beautifully shot movie. That's just like one of the best things about it. I think it just looks awesome.
One of the things I think that part of the cinematography that makes it so good is the fact that how they incorporate the hell's her name? Toni Collette's character.
Yeah.
Her
Annie.
her
Right?
dollhouses or whatever it is that she's making. dioramas
Yes.
into the shots. It's very cool how they
it's
zoom into the rooms and it's turns into the.
They're very detailed, very cool.
It's awesome.
And it's a good way of doing some background and exposition without actually having to flash back to prior events.
Yeah.
An interesting concept to be able to do it.
Very different.
Yeah.
I don't think I can remember anything where they did that before.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's definitely something fresh.
Unique.
I feel like, as an artist, Matt, you must have appreciated that too.
Oh yeah, I feel like it was intertwined within the movie. You keep returning to that workroom where she works on her dollhouses or her dioramas, and I feel like it's this constant theme that goes through the movie, which typically would, I don't know, be something lighthearted or childlike, but there's a kind of a darkness to
Incredibly
it, right?
dark.
It's almost like she's a puppet master.
Right.
Playing
Yeah.
all the,
Yep.
I mean, there's some they show, obviously, her mom in, hospice, dying of cancer. There's that weird one that we picked up on where it's clearly the first son is born and it's one of them in bed trying to breastfeed and the other woman is standing in the doorway with one of her breasts out, just super uncomfortable, weird shit. But
very uncomfortable.
Yes.
very cool way of telling some backstory.
Awkward, creepy.
Yeah.
Lots of.
So obviously, this is definitely not a very a feel-good movie. This is a movie about depression and suffering. And Aster definitely said that he wanted to make a movie about suffering that took suffering seriously.
Yep, that's pretty serious.
And was very depressing. And he drew inspiration from a few classic horror movies. Haven't seen all these, but obviously Rosemary's Baby is one. You get those vibes there. Don't Look Now in The Innocents. Apparently he drew influence from all three of those particular movies. Toni Collette, main actress.
She was awesome.
Awesome job in this movie. Sneaky horror veteran. Okay? So she's been in
She's been on
this.
a lot.
So she's been in Hereditary. She was in a movie called Fright Night, the remake of the Fright Night 80s movie that came out in 2011 with Colin Farrell, which I don't think you've seen.
My heart.
He was also in, she was also in Krampus.
Oh, that's right.
She was the mom in Krampus.
Right. Yes.
She was the mom in The Sixth Sense way back in the day.
Wow.
You know what this is telling me? She has the perfect face for crying and sorrow.
Well, her
She's
sad
an excellent actress.
dog. She looks like a sad dog. She does a great
Very
job.
expressive
No,
face.
yeah, she's got a perfect,
Yeah.
it's almost like a hound dog, just, no offense to, I'm not saying how the way she
Don't
looks.
listen. Don't
I'm
listen
not
to
saying
this.
the way she looks, but she just has a very good way of making it look she just looks sad.
Yeah.
It's perfect for her.
Yeah.
She has a lot of features on her.
A lot of range.
Yeah. She has a very long face.
Yeah.
Why the long face?
Yes.
She's like Droopy Dog.
Kind of. Yeah.
She was also in a stupid 2019 Netflix horror movie called Velvet Buzzsaw that I watched. That movie stunk.
I've seen that movie.
Did you like it?
Not bad.
Yeah.
So
It kind of reminded me the Italian horror type of movies.
The Giallo
You
movies.
just hate Gyllenhaal.
I don't hate Gyllenhaal, actually. I like Gyllenhaal a lot. I loved him in Prisoners. I loved him in Nightcrawler.
But he's the same.
Donnie Darko's a good movie, but he's
Donnie
just kind of
Darko's
whatever in that, I guess.
Zodiac.
Darko's on
What's
there?
that? Oh, Zodiac's
Zodiac, yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I
like
forgot about
Zodiac, yeah.
Zodiac.
I'm
yeah.
surprised you didn't like Velvet Buzzsaw.
I didn't like it. Yeah, I was just not
Was
a
he
fan.
was he in the one with Amy Adams too?
Oh, Nocturnal Animals.
That's a great movie.
Haven't seen it. Haven't
Oh,
seen it.
you'll like that. You'd like that movie.
Somebody told me. Was it you who told me you watched that?
No,
recently?
Seth had recently
Seth
seen it.
watched it. Okay.
That's a very
Yeah.
underrated movie. Very weird.
I heard
good
it's
movie.
very odd, very strange.
Yeah. It's like a.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, just
I'll
watch
give
it.
Nocturnal Animals a shot.
You really hate Jake.
I don't hate him. I actually like a lot of movies that he's in. I don't know why you think I hate him. Matt, you and I were talking about how there's a lot of foreshadowing in this movie, and when you watch it for a second time, you kind of pick up on a lot of it. So, also a couple cool horror Easter eggs in this movie as well. So the first scene that shows Peter at school cuts to the chalkboard in the classroom that he's in. The words "escaping fate" are on the chalkboard.
Oh, I didn't read it. That's what
Same
it's like
two words that were on the chalkboard in Laurie Strode's first scene on screen in school in the original Halloween movie directed by John Carpenter. And they're talking about the exact same story and the exact same themes. So, cool little callback there.
Fun.
And as a little extra little nerd fact here, this movie was released on the same day that the first trailer for the Halloween reboot came out.
All connected.
So, a little
Wow.
bit of nerd trivia.
Okay. All right.
Halloween reboot.
Fair enough.
Back to the foreshadowing. multiple scenes that do this. Just some of the ones that I kind of, when I read about and saw the second time, just kind of stuck out to me. The symbol that's shown throughout the film, that's particularly on the necklace that Annie and her mother both wear, is the real seal of the demon Paimon, as shown in old texts of demonology. So that's actually, if you go look it up, it's actually the real one, because Ari Aster did his research and wanted to incorporate it into the movie, okay? During the party scene, just as Peter enters the room to get with his little girlfriend there, some of the kids that are in the room are watching a black and white video on a laptop of someone being beheaded on a guillotine, which foreshadows, obviously, everything got their head cut off in this goddamn movie. People, birds, you know, all kinds of stuff. And one that we all kind of noticed in this rewatch, when Peter and Charlie are on their way to the party, they're driving on the highway, they drive past the telephone pole that eventually decapitates Charlie, and on that telephone pole is the symbol itself.
Well, they definitely zoom in on it for a second.
They zoom on
they
it.
They intentionally stop.
You see it, and it just goes to show that, you know, Paimon's, you know, the people that were doing Paimon's biddings kind of had everything planned out from the get-go to get that spirit into Peter.
That Paimon's symbol is actually generated from its 3 heads hanging from his horse while he's riding it.
Yep.
So it requires 3 beheadings
Yeah.
to summon him.
Huh.
Essentially.
Wow, I did not know
I didn't
that.
know that.
you
Yeah.
have-
All
Like-
makes sense, yeah.
You have the
Grandma.
matriarch's son
Yep.
who committed suicide.
Yep.
Then you have Charlie.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting that her name is Lee, Charlie.
You mentioned
Grandma's name is-
the matriarch's son. So Toni Collette's brother. Did you notice that when she was in the support group, she was talking about when her brother hung herself in her mother's bedroom, he was schizophrenic, and he accused his mother of trying to put people in him.
Which is what she
That
was
is
trying
literally
to do.
what she was trying to do, and
Yep.
he was not schizophrenic. He was trying to
He was
resist
being possessed. Yeah.
Paimon. Yeah, being
And so
possessed.
Toni Collette's character was the 3rd beheading.
Correct.
That was the most disturbing scene, I think.
Yeah, that was totally.
Do we get to
messed
talk
up.
about that now?
We can talk about that before we move on to that. So since we kind of already talked about the decapitation scene with Charlie, okay? Want to hear something a little gruesome?
Yeah.
So,
More gruesome
Yeah.
than that.
so the decapitation
Go for
scene
it.
with Charlie drew inspiration from and was very similar to a real life event that occurred in Marietta, Georgia, back in 2004. Okay, guy and his friend were in a pickup truck driving home after a party drunk. Passenger thought he was going to be sick, stuck his head out the window in case he needed to throw up. Driver accidentally swerved near a telephone pole. Guy's head was decapitated.
Oof.
Guy driving was so smashed, did not even know that his friend's head fell off. Drove home, walked out of the car, passed out, didn't even know what happened until the morning.
That's insane.
Yikes.
This was on IMDb, listed as trivia about the movie. So I was not able to find anything that verified that. I'm just telling, it's on IMDb. It doesn't seem far-fetched. I could see it happening.
No,
in
it
real life.
doesn't. I mean,
So,
it
I
very
would
well
think
could happen.
Maddie G could have testified to this. You worked at Disney. So
Yep.
when they say, please keep your arms and legs
Inside
inside
the vehicle.
the vehicle,
They mean it.
there's a reason for
Yeah.
that. You
absolutely.
don't want that shit to get taken off.
No.
Especially your head.
One thing, this movie has impacted me on my daily life in one particular way.
How so?
Every time I am in the car with Otis, and I have the windows down in the back, and I am driving down a street that has stuff on the sides of the roads, I am so nervous, and I always make sure like he cannot stick himself like far out enough to have
I
something
got an
happen.
idea for you. Mm-hmm. When you're driving down the road, whatever side the side is on,
Sometimes I like to give him both.
Window,
Right, yeah.
roll up that
Sometimes I
window
like to give
and
him
let
both.
his hang head out the other
Well,
side.
here's
of
the
window.
problem, though, is that Otis is a insane dog.
Ah,
And if I roll down the window on the driver's side, what he does is he hangs out the window and he barks at people walking on the sidewalk, and then he lunges and bites and tries
I
to
know, but
attack
so that's the-
oncoming cars.
Yes.
That's what he does.
So-
I roll the other window down because it's away from traffic.
don't you have a straight jacket for him then?
I
'Cause
know.
Clearly, he shouldn't be allowed
He
out in
used to have
public.
a seat
You used to have a
belt.
harness that you tie into like the seatbelt, and it would prevent him from like trying to get out the window or whatever. But
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Ugh, he's a
It's pretty funny though when he scares people when they're walking down the
it
street.
must be hilarious.
Oh,
for those
it's
people.
for us. It's great, but
Yeah.
for everyone else, it's kind of.
yeah.
I will say,
gosh.
while we're on the topic of this scene,
Yep.
you know, when you go into a horror movie, you kind of expect certain things, right? Especially if you're really into horror. And I feel like what made this movie so good is this particular scene where she loses her head on the way home from the party.
It's a great point.
Absolutely throws you in the opposite direction of where you thought the movie was going.
Well,
you know,
out of the blue.
You feel like you're in the driver's seat. Okay, we got a creepy girl. We got a creepy grandma. She just died. You feel like you know what's going on. And when she is killed, it adds such an element of guilt and dread, and it completely mixes up the direction. You have no idea what's going to happen.
Exactly. For starters, first off, you don't think that she's going to die first.
No.
Ever.
No.
Second off, you don't think it's going to happen that way.
Yeah.
Third off, who's serving fucking chocolate cake at a high school party? Seems weird.
Yeah. You think it would be like a
getting
weed
drunk,
cake instead of a cake
smoking
with nuts.
weed. Let me make a cake.
With peanuts.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
maybe
happen.
she was just trying to be a
I've
good
never been to a
hostess.
high
I have
school
no
party
idea.
where there was cake served. Maybe I was going to the wrong parties.
I was going to say, I'm like, would you complain if there was, though?
If there was
You'd be
if there was
excited.
peanuts in it, fuck peanuts.
I think it was
I don't want
walnuts.
that in a cake.
I think it was
Yeah,
walnuts.
No, yeah, that's people that make brownies with walnuts can go fuck off. 'Cause that's gross. So I feel bad for that girl. She had to eat dirty walnut brownies before she died.
Oh, God.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, dude, and kind of you said it. So not only does it break the taboo of like this girl is like in the trailers and like the artwork and stuff, and you think she should be a good part of the movie, then she dies early, but also it is a child getting very graphically decapitated on screen. That is also, I feel like it's like kind of an unwritten rule in some horror movies. A lot of them have like broken it like over time, but you usually don't see a child get it that way in a horror movie. Like,
But
it's rare.
Did it really upset you that much?
It shocked me more than upset me.
You because it didn't upset me. Because
So
I was like, this girl's cutting off birds' heads.
But here's
Like,
the thing:
I don't really feel
you
bad.
get to experience the horror of seeing it firsthand, and then you get to relive it like 5 minutes later when the mom sees her in the car.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. So good. Like,
It's
but who
so
can
crazy.
get mad at the kid for that reaction? Like, if you were put in that situation and you were high as fuck and you were driving your sister home
Also
and she
in
got
shock.
decapitated and you were in shock, you would probably go, I can't function or deal with this right now, so I'm just going to go
probably
lay
just
in
get
my
out of the
Yeah,
car.
you would do the same thing. I mean, I don't think I would be able to react to that very well. So I don't blame him for reacting the way he did.
Just going right to bed.
That kid's had a traumatic life up to that point.
Yeah, for sure. His mother almost burned him and his sister alive.
And then told him I
I
was trying to have
I didn't
a
want to have you. I
miscarriage.
tried to have a miscarriage several times. Oh, that actually was a dream. I think they did, right? It's hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
It's just like
It goes
bounces
in and
around
out.
so
Can
much.
we go back to how terrible you feel for this girl who, like...
Yeah.
I feel like I felt so bad for her since the beginning because clearly she has some sort of problem. She's on the spectrum or something.
Yeah.
And, like, her mom
think you're meant to-
Her
yeah.
mom is, like, dragging her, being like, you should know to wear a sweatshirt and whatever and blah, blah. And, like, giving her such a hard time and, like, physically, like, pulling her and, like, pushing her and whatever. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like... She clearly has something wrong with her. Like, you
Of
need to
course,
have some
but I
patience.
think one of the things that makes this movie such an uncomfortable viewing experience is that it kind of deals with like the ugly side
like
of
domestic
grief.
violence and like.
Well, I wouldn't even go as far to say as domestic violence, but it's just like the ugly side of grief in being a parent, right?
Right.
Like you
Well,
have to
yes.
think like, okay, parents out there have probably thought some really strange and dark things at certain times, but normally you probably don't open your mouth and say them. But I feel like this is just like when shit hits the fan and you are at the end of your rope, you kind of just say everything that pops into your mind.
Unless you're Steve.
Yeah,
I feel bad for Steve more than anyone.
Yeah,
He's
he
the
was
only
trying to.
normal
Dude,
one
he
in the
actually
whole
was
thing.
trying to keep
He was
it
trying
together.
to keep this family together,
Yeah.
and I would have left that woman like 8 years ago. Like he
Yeah.
just the fact that he was able to keep it together, dealing with what was going on,
For
and
so
her
long.
just being like insane the whole time.
I guess at that point, I mean, you could argue, yes, I wouldn't debate you, but like, is it better to have him in a situation with the father and the mother at that point, or no? I mean, I don't know. It's
I
actually
think none
probably
of them
not.
should be around each other.
No.
Yeah,
Tony
well,
Collette
hey,
should be in like a insane
hey,
asylum.
He'd still be alive if he took the kid away because he wouldn't have been burned alive
Right.
by that book burning.
Yep, he would have been gone.
Yeah. Can we talk about the ending of this movie real
Yeah.
quick?
Yeah.
And kind of how far and how fast it goes into absolute fucking batshit lunacy as soon as... Like, it's kind of happening to... Everything's happening to Peter and Annie and Steve. Is it Annie? Annie and Steve, right?
Annie,
and
Steve,
Steve,
Peter,
all at the
yep.
same time in separate locations, right? Like, Peter's having the fucking freak out at school where he's breaking his nose off the table. Annie goes up to the attic. She discovers her mother's headless corpse with candles lit in the attic.
Yep.
And then Steve gets burned alive when she throws the book into the fire, and then everything just goes even crazier when you think it can't go even further into the crazy. It's just I forgot how intense the ending of this movie was.
Yep.
You feel the buildup. It's just so it's so crazy. It's
I
so
can
good.
compare the ending of this movie to one other movie, and I don't know who directed it, but I love it. And I don't know if you liked it or if you've seen it yet, but it was Mother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see that?
With Jennifer
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yeah,
right?
I love that movie, and I feel like it's the same type of ending, different, but it's like just at the end, it's like batshit,
Yeah.
balls to the walls.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck
Well,
is happening?
I would argue that entire movie is batshit crazy.
I love that movie.
Absolute
I think that movie's
insanity.
phenomenal.
Just gets so weird. Just total Aronofsky out there in fucking
Oh,
left
that's
field.
who it is,
Yeah,
Aronofsky.
Aronofsky. Yeah, I didn't really like Mother that much. I like this movie. I think I like this movie much more than I liked.
I think that
Mother.
movie's.
But I can
think
see.
that movie
I
gets
can
a
see,
bad rap.
I can see what you're saying. I think a lot of people were kind of turned off at, again, a lot of the graphic violence. It's probably a similar type.
I
of
think
movie.
it's a similar
good
type.
comparison.
I think it's
yeah,
very
now that you
similar.
mention it. Yeah, it's a good comparison. I think. But, yeah, I mean, the ending just absolutely blew me away. Even this time, I was kind of glued to the screen. This type of movie, like, when you get to that point, for most of the movie, you're not on your phone for this. You're fucking paying attention to kind of what's
yeah.
going on.
And you're at the end of the movie. Your eyes are on every corner of the screen.
Yes.
The
Oh, yeah, when
background.
she's
It's,
creeping around in the background.
Yeah. Oh, my
crawling
God,
on
yeah.
walls,
Whenever she's up, like, in the
Swimming through the
corner.
air.
Yeah.
swimming.
Bye.
oh my God, so good.
Do you guys consider this to be a movie that genuinely frightens you? Is this movie scary?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's so much unknown, especially with the first watch. The first time you see it, there's so much you don't understand what's going on, and you're trying to piece it together. It leaves you a very unsettling feeling.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Unsettling is a good word to describe it. This feels like a fever dream.
Yeah.
What about you, Andrew?
100%.
Yeah.
Unnerving, unsettling, fever dream. It's my type of movie. So, yes, I don't necessarily think it's scary, but it makes me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're like, do I want to watch this or do I want to just turn it off?
Yeah.
I challenge any listener to watch this movie and not leave with a sense of dread.
Yeah.
It is so horrible.
But
it's so good.
Like, when we were watching
You're going to take
it,
a shower after
Yeah, exactly. And when I was watching it, I was kind of just like, so we were watching it upstairs in the living room, and I was like pacing around the kitchen watching it with like anxious, nervous energy because I was just like, oh my God, this movie makes me feel so fucking icky. Like, but what was I going to say? I had a good point and I just lost it. Fuck. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I will probably go to bed tonight hearing that noise.
Yeah.
Like, I will probably close my eyes, try and go to sleep, and all of a sudden think to myself, and I'm like,
Yep.
great,
Not
wonderful.
not
I'm not
going
going to be
to
able to sleep
sleep.
tonight.
The little weird things, I got it again. The little weird things that also creeped me out that made you laugh. And I thought it was
Yes.
super fucking weird.
Nervous giggles.
From the very beginning, they're at the funeral, and Charlie looks over her shoulder, and there's some weird, creepy guy, and he just smiles at her like, hey, Paimon, like, hey. And like
he's
all the
naked
cult,
later
yeah,
on.
he's naked later on. All the cult members just randomly show up, and they just like wave, like just to go see their demon that they've summoned. Like, hey, I'm still here,
my God.
still voting for Paimon 2020,
I can't believe
baby.
I never.
Like, here I
I
am.
can't believe I didn't pick up on that on the first
Yeah,
watch of this
dude,
movie.
I know,
I didn't realize
right?
how culty this movie was. Till I
So
watched it
culty,
again.
Yes,
so
yes.
culty.
I was like, oh, all
Well,
right.
because you don't
Yeah.
know until the end, really.
No, but I should have picked up on it.
But you get that something's going on, but you don't really
Maybe
understand.
I wasn't. Maybe I was on my phone too much watching it the first time.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just so much about this movie that's creepy.
So many layers. You know.
It's like an onion.
Is this the type of movie
Ogre.
where you have a favorite scene, or is it kind of just the whole movie as an experience?
I got a favorite scene.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the stupid girl gets her head taken. That was my favorite part of the movie because
How did I know you were going to say that?
She drove me insane.
I knew you were gonna
I was
say
hoping
that.
she would die at some point.
Dude, she's
What's even
little
better-
girl. She needs some help. She needed to be
No,
paid
she
attention
didn't
to.
need help,
She's lost her
but
grandma,
she
man.
bothered
Like,
me, and her grandmother was weird, and she was weird. And when the ants were crawling on her face after her head came off, I was like,
oh,
so
gross. I mean,
ants are
how
the worst,
effective?
yeah.
So
How
gross.
effective is this as a film that you don't ever see the grandmother alive on screen, and she is so creepy regardless, just from the photos. Actually, I guess you see her when she calls to Charlie, and she's in like circle of fire in the middle of the field, like with her back turned, naked to her.
Yep.
Just so fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
So creepy.
Also, why is her name Charlie?
Charlotte, maybe?
Yeah.
Or her grandmother's name is Lee.
Oh,
Charlie.
Right. And wait,
Yeah.
what was the
Oh yeah, Charleig.
fuck, I lost
That'd
it.
be kind of cool. That's kind of a fun name.
Queenly.
Yeah.
Remember the
Kinda
picture
nice.
at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, Queen
Oh,
Lee.
right, Queen Lee. Queen
Yeah.
Lee,
Charlie,
that's right,
Queen Lee.
that's right.
There's something there.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Anybody have a beef with anybody in the cast?
The son. Just because he doesn't look like
No,
he's the
he was
son.
phenomenal.
He was
acting.
great.
His
Okay,
acting is fine.
I'll grant you that. I will grant you that he does not look like the family.
He doesn't look anything
I
like the
think he
family.
kind of looks like the dad.
You try.
Same hair,
no,
same
no,
fucked up
no,
nose.
No, you try to make a connection.
First
when you
off,
watch it.
I don't
You're
really-
like, well,
It's distracting. I will give you
it's
that.
very distracting.
First off, there's a lot of people that are out there that don't look anything like their parents,
True.
so
Sure.
that's fine. I don't care about that. I'm all about good acting. Colette was good. The dad was good, even though, like you said, he kind of went in and out of that.
Yeah,
Irish-
Gabriel Byrne
A
was
little weird.
kind of the brogue was poking out a little bit more and more as the movie.
How did they not
progressed.
pick up on that though while they were filming and be like, "Hey, by the way,
Maybe
You're
he
American.
okay.
Maybe
So
you're
well,
supposed to.
so he might have been Irish in the movie, an Irish immigrant that has just progressively lost his
Right.
brogue more and more living in America. That's possible, but
or they just were like, whatever."
it was unclear. Yeah,
Well, they just didn't tell his backstory because he didn't really matter.
yeah.
Yeah, he was like the least
I think
important
that was
person.
intentional though, because I feel like one of the messages of the movie was kind of like,
He's not blood.
Hey.
Like
this type of shit can happen to any family if
Sure.
the circumstances go wrong enough.
Yep.
I think they did a great job casting in that movie.
I did too. I actually agree with you. I don't think the kid looked like the parents, but I mean he was phenomenal, and I think he actually was probably asked to do as much as, if not maybe a little bit more than Toni Collette was in that movie.
Yeah.
Some of the notes that he was asked to hit, where he's going insane in school, he's the one that accidentally kills his sister.
When he
has
smashes
to,
his face off the desk and
Yeah.
backs
That's
out,
crazy.
That's really
that's
good.
a
He does
crazy
a really
scene.
good job
Yeah,
of
the
that.
kid's a good actor. That's a good job.
His facial acting is very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like before he smashes his nose.
Yeah.
Very good.
And then at the very end, he has to make it seem like he is walking up that treehouse ladder, as Charlie. He's supposed to be Charlie in his body because that's essentially what he
Right,
is. So he has to
right.
put on a different face for that and do that a little bit differently. So he does a good job. Yeah, but I had zero problem with any of the casting here. All phenomenal. I think it's
What's her
probably
face?
one of the biggest strengths of the movies.
Yep.
Of
From
the
the,
movie, excuse me.
the leftovers. Yeah,
Joni was great.
She's perfect
Joni.
for that. Did you see leftovers?
I hadn't seen it now.
She was good.
Who died the best in this movie? The
Toni
piano
Collette.
wire.
Charlie.
Toni
Was
Collette
it
with
Charlie?
the piano wire was so good.
Yeah.
Because the beginning, like where they find the piano falling over, you heard the keys.
Yes,
and then
which
she's up
I
there and
didn't
she
pick
just
up on until this
slowly,
time,
like-
and then you called it, Matt. Like the
Yeah.
piano, like the thing was open.
Yep.
You could see, and then she was
Yep.
just up
Well,
on the
that
ceiling
was something
again.
that I actually had to kind of look away from because it was just so.
So
Yeah,
disturbing.
that was gross.
So
Yeah.
That was
gory.
It goes like
disgusting.
full horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gross. Both of those two deaths were gross, but also Steve got it pretty hard too.
Yeah, and that was
Steve
unexpected.
just trying to be a good husband, man, trying to support his wife, trying to say,
But
hey,
that was fast and it was over.
you
fast.
crazy, you need help, and
The
you-
shock,
yeah.
the shock factor was great in that.
Yeah.
The first time
Oh.
I watched the movie and he got scorched by the fire, when you've been told it's going to be her,
Yeah.
it plays with your mind. It's just
Yeah.
really well done.
Well, I didn't like it that it was magic fire and the whole house didn't go up.
Just,
So
just
I didn't
him.
like that.
Just magic.
Again,
Black
you have to
magic
kind of
fire.
suspend disbelief slightly here a little.
That's
bit.
fine. I know. I understand. My
Conjured
own thing.
spirits
My own
burning
thing.
somebody alive.
Just work with it.
Fine. I already know the answer to this. This is more of a psychological thriller. Could you see this making a good haunted attraction?
Absolutely,
Yes.
You think so?
yeah.
Okay.
I would be
You gonna
interested to see.
people in the
Depends on
corner
how
of the
you.
wall? Like,
Okay,
How
actually,
would you
yeah.
do
yeah,
it,
you're
though?
right.
I mean,
How?
you could find-
You can have her with a piano wire.
I'm
hooked
just
there,
thinking.
over there on the
I'm just
wall.
thinking out loud. So it's one of the categories we always cover. Could you see 2022 Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights Orlando presents Hereditary based on the
Absolutely.
2018 movie? I think it would be tough to pull off. Like,
That's the thing. Like a lot of those scenes would be very difficult to like the scariest scenes in those movies or the most horrific, like the decapitation of the girl.
they could recreate those scenes, I think. But I don't know if they could build on the sense of dread and horror in the movie. But again, if they were going to do it, they'd be the ones to do it. They turned The fucking Shining into a haunted house.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good.
Well,
So-
that's not. That sounds like that would be fairly.
Well, like this takes place in a house. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't it make
The
a
Shining?
set?
I was going to say
this
that
movie.
the biggest benefit to the movie is that most of it is in this house. You
Yeah.
know?
So why
It's,
wouldn't it make it
you
good?
know, and it would make a great haunt because you could just be, you know, in different rooms and experience
You
different
could have like
characters
a
and different
half-open
deaths.
house, like a house with like everything cut off, like half of it cut off, and it's each room.
Yeah.
And you can even have like Joni's
Walk through,
apartment,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
as its own thing.
Yeah.
Like that, it's all like takes place in houses or
Yoni.
yeah.
And the climax of the haunt could be the haunted
True.
the treehouse
Treehouse?
itself. Yeah,
Okay,
you know,
all right.
you could work your way right into it
You guys talked me into
with
it.
all the red light. You can picture yourself in
I'd
there.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
That'd be scary.
I'd
Yeah.
absolutely go
I would
through
actually
that.
be more scared of that than most.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
attractions.
I could see that. I could see that. Is this movie deserving of a sequel? Would you like to see more Hereditary?
No,
I don't see how you
I don't
could
think
do a
you
sequel.
can-
I don't think so either.
I think that would be overkill.
Charlie's Revenge.
Charlie's Revenge. Yeah. Charlie as Peter walking around just trying to...
Well, I
Now,
guess-
could you do a
Immolate
could
people,
you-
just bang,
Could
bang,
you
bang,
do
bang.
a prequel with the grandmother and the son?
That would be an
Yes.
interesting angle.
Yeah, because they do reference a lot of things that you don't see. Right.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, you
That's
could
for sure.
do
Start of the cult.
what happens after he's summoned, and what's up with the weird like Tin Man head statue thing?
It's like a pagan thing.
Paimon.
It's
Paimon.
yeah, I know, I get it, but he looks. I mean,
The head.
We're-
I know
That's-
it's her
that's
head.
her
Charlie's
I
head, yeah.
know that, but
And
I
the
mean,
whole thing is Paimon is a male.
Oh.
Well, he's got a male's body with a female's head. So that's the whole reasoning behind that.
So he's the host.
I just thought it could have been a little stronger. Besides, it looked like a scrawny
You're
Tin
such a
Man with.
critic.
A
This is where the
person's
half
head.
the thumb came off, was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
Just a little corny. That's all.
All right, fair enough.
If only they had Tobin Bell in it, it would have gotten 2 thumbs way
Tobin
up.
Bell.
Who is the MVP of this movie?
I think it's obvious.
Matt, who do you think?
What's her name? Nikki Collette. What's her name again?
Toni
Toni
Collette.
Toni
Collette.
Collette. Toni
Yeah.
Collette. Yeah, she was just her
Awesome.
face throughout the movie, and watching her just
Face
her,
throughout the movie.
watching her spiral downwards.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and once you start to really see how manic she
She's
is,
such a good actress.
yeah,
she's
it's just
phenomenal.
Was she in
incredible.
Weeds?
No, you're thinking
No.
of somebody else.
Oh no, Laura Linney. Never mind. What show was she in? I know she was in Sopranos.
Toni
I
Collette
don't
wasn't in
know.
Sopranos.
Oh, what the fuck was she in? What am I talking?
I don't know.
Krampus, The Sixth Sense, Knives Out.
Oh, yeah, she was in Knives Out.
She wasn't in a show. She's never been in a show.
I don't think so.
You're making me seem crazy now.
Well,
Okay.
you might be.
I feel crazy.
Yeah.
TV shows. I'll
Kat,
find
who
out
was your
right now.
who was your MVP?
I'd say Charlie only because I might have nightmares about her.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, exactly.
I got to go with Peter here, the son. I
Yeah.
think he was a great. I just think the actor who played him, I think his name is Alex Wolff, was phenomenal.
Yeah,
That was a show. United States of Terror. Sorry, that's what show. No, but she plays like schizophrenic in that show.
Oh.
You watched
So
that
she-
show?
I've seen that show. It's not,
Oh.
it's
I
not
didn't
a
know
bad show. Are you judging me? Don't be judging.
No, not judgy. Not judgy.
not a bad
judgy.
show.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right, who's your MVP?
I mean, it's
When her head
it's
gets
lame-
decapitated,
no,
it's
but
the
lame to
VIP.
no, it's lame.
That
to,
moment.
It's lame to have Toni Collette as the same one for everybody. But yeah, that's,
I didn't know. Kat, I didn't say that.
I didn't
What
say
did you guys
that.
say? I wasn't
that was just
listening.
me.
I said
said
Peter,
Charlie.
the son.
And he said Peter.
So give
You
your
said Charlie.
give your vote
Yeah.
to give your vote to Steve.
Toni Collette.
Yeah, Toni Collette.
No, Steve. Steve deserves it.
Steve the Pirate.
After
Oh,
all these
poor
been through,
Steve.
Poor
There's a
Steve.
pirate on our team. Pirate.
From Dodgeball.
Been a pirate on our team the whole time.
I just every time I hear the name Steve, I think of Steve the Pirate. I can't not think of Steve the Pirate.
Dodgeball's a great movie.
That is a great movie.
Win! Average Joes! All right, any final thoughts on Hereditary, you guys, before we put a bow on this bitch?
No.
No?
I would say if you've seen the movie once, give it a second watch because you
Yeah.
see a lot of things,
That's
a lot
good
of, lot
advice.
of details. I already loved the movie after my first watch, but after I saw it a second time, I realized why I loved it because it's just so well done. There's so much detail. The horror is great. The dread that builds throughout the movie is so good, and you walk away not feeling like a feel-good movie. It's not that kind of movie, but
walk away feeling terrible.
yeah, you feel terrible. But how amazing that this movie is able to make you feel like that. That's good directing.
To me, there's nothing better than a movie that can make you feel so bad. No, like one of my favorite movies is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Oh, I've seen that. That's a terrible
Because that movie
movie,
makes
but
you
it's
feel
good. It's
so
terrible.
awful. Like if
When
you
have
can
you seen The Boy
invoke
in the
that
Striped
type of
I
Pajamas?
saw that. It's about Auschwitz, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a sad story
Yeah.
about
I saw that.
the German kid whose dad's like a soldier, and then the poor Jewish boy that's stuck in the concentration camp, and they become friends. And then he's like, "I want to play catch with you." And
Yeah.
he sneaks underneath the fence, and they both get gassed in the chamber at the end. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Not a feel good movie.
No,
No,
but
it doesn't
it's
sound
if you
like
can
one.
if you can make a movie that makes you feel that bad, you've done something.
Yeah.
It makes
To me,
you
that-
feel
to
something.
To me, that's harder than any other movie to make.
Okay.
So
All right.
A+ for
A plus.
Hereditary.
A
Two
plus.
thumbs,
Two thumbs way up.
Plus a pinky.
When it ends, though, it just ends. Like, how do they find? Like, does anyone find like the bodies and?
We're not. This isn't unsolved mysteries. It's
Yeah.
a movie.
Yeah, I think
Oh, speaking of which you didn't mention in the
Speaking
news.
of Angela Lansbury,
it's going to
Oh,
come out
because
after it's
it's-
out. Yeah.
Unsolved Mysteries came out 3 weeks ago.
This is just going to create more for me to edit.
I'm just
Skip
kidding.
it. Yeah.
Fine.
we don't need to talk about Angela Lansbury.
So, do you know what Angela Lansbury's up to these days?
Yeah, but Matt said it best for me. This is a movie that's worth a rewatch. If you've only seen it once, you got to watch it again because it's
Well worth it.
you'll pick up on a lot of stuff that you didn't notice the first time, which is what happened to me tonight when I watched it. And it's just a really good, really scary, really creepy movie. So couldn't recommend it more highly. But I think that's all we got, guys. Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I guess before we wrap up, I want to say thanks again for listening to another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike. Thanks again to Andrew. Thank you to Kat. And most of all, thanks to our guest, Matt Gilbert. Matt,
Thank you.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much,
it.
man. It was great to have you on. Awesome movie. Had a great time watching it with you and talking with you about
Thanks
it.
for having me. I really appreciate that.
Of course, you're welcome back anytime. If anyone wants to keep up with you, do you have an Instagram or a Twitter or anything that you want to plug or a YouTube?
Yeah, my Instagram is mattzap44, MATTZAP44, and I occasionally post some artwork I'm up to or my travels or things that I'm interested in.
Awesome.
I love music. I love Spotify, so you can follow me on Spotify
He has
as well.
the best playlist.
I love making
Oh my
playlists,
gosh.
but I can't beat Kat with her playlist of what was it? Fleetwood Mac
and Cheese.
Fleetwood Mac and Cheese. Yeah.
That's a good title. That's a good playlist,
Yeah.
too. I've heard that numerous times.
Mac and cheese.
I will say I do look forward to your, and it's actually coming up, oh my God, kind of quickly, your end of year worst song Facebook poll that you
Oh,
do. 'Cause,
yes.
there's always, I feel like we agree on quite a few.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the 2020 version.
The worst songs of 2020.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's way better than the best songs.
Yeah.
of 20.
Oh, yeah. Matt does it every year.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I look forward to it.
Yep.
All right, well, here's where you can find us on social media. As I mentioned as I mentioned a few weeks back, we are now on YouTube. We have our own channel. You can just search for America's Hometown Horror. Same thing on Facebook. Just search for America's Hometown Horror. You can also tweet at us at Hometown Horror. You can find us on Instagram at Hometown Horror Pod. And you can send us an email at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. You can also listen to our show on anywhere you pretty much get your podcast. That includes Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, Amazon Music, and wherever else that may be. Again, my name is Mike. Thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you listening. Have a great week. Have a great month. Have a great year. Say goodbye to your listeners, folks.
Adios, amigos.
Bye.
Bye now.
Happy Turkey Day.
Oh my gosh.
Not Turkey Day yet. Got a few episodes left before then.
Make sure you vote.
Maybe depends on me.
Vote. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.